I met my Rachel the first week of college. We were each our first everything pretty much. I actually converted to Judaism because of her, hence the fake name. I'm not really that religious, but I really liked the way her family felt. My family was pretty dysfunctional, and I felt like it gave me a good way of looking at and living life. We're not too serious about it. We don't keep kosher, we're living together, etc. Anyways, she's heart-achingly beautiful. She gets hit on any time and every time we go out. It used to be a problem. I would get jealous sometimes, but I mainly got over it, and now it kind of makes me feel good in an ego-boosting way. It makes me feel good knowing that people find her attractive, and she finds me attractive. I haven't felt threatened by a guy in a while. Anyways, we go to college in my hometown. My brother Jim recently graduated and asked to come live with me and my girlfriend. I asked if my girlfriend was okay with it. She said yes, so we let him come. My brother is different from me, and even my older brother. He didn't play any sports. Me and my older brother were on the college basketball team until he graduated last year. He's also shorter, and a little heavy. I'm 6 feet 5 inches and 178 pounds. My brother is about 5 feet 9 inches and 230 pounds. He asked for help losing weight when he moved in. Honestly, me and my older brother think he's a product of an affair, because he's also a lot darker skinned than us. We're all white, but he looks Italian, as opposed to Irish like us. He's also a little antisocial, listens to a bunch of metal, screamo, etc., and doesn't seem to have a lot of friends. Everything's fine up he walks in on us. Jim moved in with us in late July. Me and my fiancée have a lot of sex. Before he moved in it was a couple of times a day. Whenever he leaves to go do something, we'll usually take that as a chance. We did something stupid, and we're in the living room when he got back. I had forgotten that I had given him his own key. I had finally gotten around to having one made. Anyways, he walked in and was staring at us with the widest eyes I've ever seen. My girlfriend notices him first and freaks out. We get dressed quickly and then we apologize to him. He says it's fine. Thinking back now, it wouldn't be that surprising if he heard us a few times at night or the music we would listen to while we were together. I'm sure the only reason a couple ever plays a Weezer album at night is to have sex to it. Anyways, things are fine. A week later, Jim asks me about sexting girls, and if I have any advice for him. I've been the go-to for all of the relationship/sex questions. He told me a girl was offering to send pictures. I told him just to never ask for them or pressure the girl into doing it, to never say anything too crass when you compliment her, and to never share them. He asks if I've ever sexted and I told him a couple of times. I figure now that this was him just manipulating me into answering a question for him. 2 days later, he asks to borrow condoms. I tell him I don't have any, and he says, "That's right, you weren't wearing one with Rachel." This freaks me out, and I ask him if he was looking at my penis, and that it's weird that he would look for something like that. He quickly apologizes, says he noticed it when we jumped up when we saw him, and that he didn't look for it. I believed him, went to go get him some at the store. He didn't want to go with me because it would make us look gay, gave him them, said that the only reason I didn't wear them was because we were both tested and willing to deal with the consequences, and told him if I ever found out he didn't use one I'd beat the shit out of him. I know, I'm a fucking hypocrite, but I hate them, and my girlfriend says she feels closer to me without them. This isn't the issue. I also offer to take him to get the HPV vaccine. He takes me up and we go do that. 5 days ago, I lose my phone. I'm freaking out, tearing the apartment upside down looking for it. When I go into my brother's room, he jumps out of bed, and hides something underneath the cover. Deciding I was gonna give him a little shit to make me feel better about losing my phone. Reach under the blanket for whatever he was hiding. And there's the fucking phone. I have to travel a lot for basketball, and while I was away Rachel would send me pictures of her naked and videos of her masturbating. My brother was emailing them to himself, as well as a couple of pictures of her that weren't as risque. Furious, I started shoving him around, but I stopped myself before I did anything too serious. I instantly make him go through his room, and there's one of her bras hidden under his bed with some porn. I then tell him to open his laptop and wait in the living room while I look at it. I wanted to make sure I deleted any and all pictures of Rachel. There weren't any that I could find, so I got on his email and deleted the stuff he sent to himself. I then got on the internet to check his history just to be safe. This is what really shocked the shit out of me. He had gone on some dating/hookup forum and had asked for advice getting with his brother's fiancée. A few days later, he said that he had gotten with her, and was updating regularly, like some fucking kind of pseudo-blog. He started it when he first moved in, and was basing some of it on real life. I'll give a couple of examples. Lol, she looks so miserable when she's with him. I fucked her good when she got done with the faggot. Lol, fucking her with condoms he bought me. GD, her tits look great. Out of these, that one included a picture of the bra he stole. The rest were images off of Google, close-ups of sex. Those were based on the things I described earlier. That morning, he promised some pics, the ones he was stealing off my phone. He had already posted pictures of her off of Facebook, including one in a bikini and a few from a website of me and my fiancé's friend who makes dresses and sells them. She asked my fiancé and a couple of other girls we knew to wear them. On his computer, he also had a letter to her, asking her to leave me and be with him. It was so bizarre, and apparently he hates me. He insulted me constantly and said that she would be happier with him, and that she was the most beautiful girl in the world to him. I wiped his hard drive to make sure there was nothing else of her, checked his phone, Gave him $200 in case I deleted anything with a wipe, got everything he would need for class, and threw him out. I told him to go back home, that I was telling Rachel, but I wouldn't say anything to our parents if he didn't make a big deal out of me kicking him out, and to have mom come and get the rest of his things. I also told him if he didn't delete the stuff I would have to tell mom and dad. I checked later to see if he did, and he had. Telling Rachel was difficult, she cried a lot, told me she felt disgusted. We had an honest talk, and we decided that the only way we would be comfortable with him back in our lives is if he stick with therapy for a while, and I sent him a text telling him as much. Rachel blocked him on her phone, social media, etc. and made her Facebook account private. She seemed really uncomfortable for a couple of days. The first day was the worst. She was too freaked out to be alone. I didn't realize this at first, and didn't think much of it when she said she'd wanted to watch me shoot. We did that, and when I drove home to drop her off so I could go by the school to pick up some documents, she asked to come with me. After that, I was going to go play some ball with some of the guys, and she again asked to come to that. I realized what was going on, asked her why she didn't want to go home. Apparently she thought I hadn't taken his key. I told her that night, she must have forgot or not heard, and didn't feel safe. I felt sick to my stomach that my kid brother could make her scared in her own home. She talked to her therapist about it the day after that for her weekly appointment. She's getting back to normal now, being her sweet, fun self. We had a pretty good little date night yesterday. I, however, still feel lost about this whole thing. What do I do from here? Our parents don't know, but I told my older brother to ask for advice. I'm so mad about it, and irrationally, I'm jealous of him for getting to see her in a way only I ever have. I feel like he stole that from me and her. I also feel bad about what I perceive to be a loss of all love towards him. I don't feel like I care what about him at all anymore. I'm considering going to a therapist about this stuff, but I'm not sure about it. I went to one when I was younger and I just couldn't communicate. It could end up being an expensive waste of time. I also don't know how I tell my parents he's not welcome at our wedding this winter, and that we wouldn't be coming to family dinners anymore, since I told him I wouldn't tell them if he didn't make a scene about me kicking him out. I'd really appreciate some advice/perspective on this whole thing. Update 1. My fiancée and I have been together for 3 years, not 2. My parents aren't going to be coming to our wedding. Rachel and I went to meet my parents at their house. Jim was brought to my uncle's house while we were over. I told them that I had to tell them why Jim wasn't staying with us anymore. They told me that they knew, and that Jim had told them everything. When they said everything, I was doubtful at first, but Jim really had told them everything. I had printed out the draft of the email I was going to send them, and they confirmed he admitted to everything. He had asked for help. I was stunned. He's already started therapy, he's going twice a week. Anyways, this whole time they were extremely kind to Rachel. They apologized for raising someone that could do these horrible things. I figure this is as good a time as any to make sure it's clear he can't come to our wedding. My mom instantly starts freaking out about this. She says how she wants our whole family there, that we'll regret not having him there for the rest of our lives. I tell her that he still makes Rachel uncomfortable, threatened even, and my mom asks if it's true, and Rachel says yes. They say that they won't be there without him, and that even though they'll still love me and support us, they wanted to support Jim too. My parents' original plan, in conjunction with Jim's therapist, was for him to meet us once a month for an hour, if we were open to it. I tell them that that's not happening. Rachel wasn't okay with it, but I agreed to meet him alone. Rachel said that was fine. When I got home I made sure. I sent Jim a text laying down some ground rules. 1. We would meet somewhere public. 2. If he said anything inappropriate I would leave. 3. No lying. 4. Absolutely no contacting Rachel. I also told him that I'd only give him one more shot, that he had honestly lost my love and would have to work to regain it, that he would likely never have an actual conversation with Rachel again, that I would never forget what he did but could maybe move past it, and that there weren't any guarantees. He sent me a text saying I understand, I'm so sorry. My parents wanted me to talk to him this Sunday, also my birthday. I told them I wasn't prepared to do that, I'm still pretty angry, and that I wouldn't start seeing him monthly until next year, after the wedding. I don't know if I expect him to be genuinely trying to be a better person. I'm not counting on it. At least this way if he screws up my parents won't have an excuse to pick him over me. Also, if he does screw up before next year I'll know that he wasn't sincere. Once we got back home I asked my fiancée if she was okay with this course of action. She said she liked it. I once again asked if she wanted to involve the authorities, but she said she didn't want to. She's been adamant about it this whole time. She was a little upset about my parents not being there, but I calmed her down and we went to bed. I feel great right now, knowing what's going to happen. I guess I'm not that upset about my parents not going. They did tell me that they still loved me, and our wedding is going to be pretty small and intimate. My older brother's coming back into the country for it. That's all I really cared about, and he said he'd be there no matter what. We're actually going to spend a year with him overseas after we graduate. We're not having a traditional honeymoon. As for the sexting advice that came up in the comments, Rachel and I had our first real conversation about it. We downloaded KeepSafe. We also decided to go to Best Buy tonight and get a camcorder, so thanks for that. Probably wouldn't have happened if we didn't have this conversation. TLDR, my brother told my parents everything and asked for help. I'm not that optimistic about it, but he might become a better man, we'll see. My parents are a little upset he's not allowed at our wedding, assuming he sticks with getting help, or will also not attend if he doesn't, but told me they still loved me. Next year I'm going to see about meeting with my brother once a month for around an hour. Rachel said that she likes this plan, but if it makes her uncomfortable ever, I'll just cut Jim out of my life for good. Now on to second story. Coworker accused me of lazy surgery triggered weight loss, spread rumors, and now our wants me to mediate with her. After a decade of medical gaslighting, a new doctor ordered an emergency MRI during a routine visit and discovered a mass in my abdomen. I was rushed into surgery within 24 hours. I ended up having an 18-pound benign tumor pressing on my vital organs, and I was about a week away from multiple organ failure. I'm lucky to be alive, and time will tell if I have any lasting organ damage, but right now everything is fine. Mentally I'm struggling with a few things, but the only outwardly noticeable impact is that I've gone from a size 20 to a size 8. Nobody on my medical team anticipated a change this drastic, but I'm healthy and lucky. I was expecting to get a lot of questions from my coworkers because curiosity exists. I had a basic emergency surgery, but I'm fine now. Answer that almost everyone accepted but one coworker who I hardly speak to, Aubrey. On my first day back to work, Aubrey came up to me and said, "I wish you had come to me to lose the weight instead of resorting to such drastic measures. You're going to gain it all back, you know. I'll be waiting." I was aware of Aubrey's reputation, but since we never worked together I didn't think it would be an issue. She's one of those people who think they're a fitness expert and calls herself a health coach, nothing to do with the company we work for. She has a reputation for giving out unsolicited and incorrect health advice and is always commenting on people's food choices. I was speechless when she asked why I opted to get butchered instead of putting in the hard work to lose the weight. There's nothing wrong with someone choosing surgical weight loss options, but that's not what happened to me, and I really resented her aggressive attitude / spreading rumors. During my second week back, she came by my office at the end of the day in athletic gear, offering to go with me if I was too afraid to go to the gym alone. At the time I wasn't even cleared to lift my kid, do laundry, or climb a flight of stairs, let alone go to the gym with this crackpot. I don't remember what I said to her, but she left saying I'd gain the weight back because I'm lazy. The next day Aubrey ranted angrily about me in a meeting I wasn't in, missed it for a follow-up, ironically. I don't know everything that was said, but the gist was that if I can't dedicate myself to weight loss, I obviously can't see my work obligations through. HR called for a red flag mediation. At our company, mediation can go against your bonus opportunities for the year. I have no idea why I'm in mediation when she's the one being an asshat. At the mediation, Aubrey stated that she was triggered by my new body and I should have thought of other people's feelings and warned her before my surgery. I hardly had time to warn my husband and get my kid out of daycare. I don't owe Aubrey anything. I have empathy that she's obviously struggling, but that does not excuse her behavior. HR said that while they can't ask me to explain my medical history, it might clear the air if I told her what kind of surgery I had and why. I said I wasn't obligated to share my medical information with anyone and that Aubrey having bad coping skills doesn't entitle her to a coworker's personal health information. Their response was kind of, "Well, then we can't stop her from bullying you." After Thanksgiving, my doctor helped me put in ADA accommodation paperwork so I could work from home. I was having some mild complications from surgery, but also to avoid Aubrey. This company hates remote work, so they're really not happy. Aubrey still emails me workout videos and diet plans, and when I forward them to HR their response is, "Noted. Do you know when you're coming back to the office? I've been thinking about escalating this to corporate with an employment lawyer. Is that overkill?" I'm still in a sensitive place after my surgery and I have no energy for this, especially since Aubrey is fixated on weight loss, which was the primary way doctors gaslit me for years. I've been with this company for 5 years and I'm just exhausted and disappointed in how they're handling this, and I want it over yesterday. Update 1. My boss, George, was getting ready to retire while this was going on. George is roughly my grandfather's age, so this entire situation bewildered both him and his replacement, who he was training at the time. Both of them met with Aubrey's boss, because believe me, I was documenting everything she did from the jump, and they all assured me that Aubrey would be dealt with. None of them recommended the red flag mediation. That was HR's idea. I was given details of the meeting where Aubrey ranted about me and it was horrible, but apparently Aubrey was asked to leave by her own boss while several other employees told her to stop. So managerially and in the office in general, people were trying to rein her in from many different angles. HR is where the ball dropped, and dropped hard. This company just has a poor HR structure and bad entry to mid-level HR. When Aubrey's boss referred her to HR regarding her negative behavior, HR took it upon themselves to consider it a mediation situation, which, remember, at our company can go against your bonus for the year, despite communication from George, his replacement, and Aubrey's boss saying I wasn't in the wrong. When George found out about this, he spoke to the HR generalist manager, who said that my absence probably caused a lot of strain and extra work for Aubrey when Aubrey's not even credentialed to do what I do. Management made a point to tell me how baffled and upset they were with HR's handling of the situation every time something came up. My company mentor was also a huge support during this time until she decided to take another job elsewhere. When my doctor extended my ADA work from home accommodation a second time, HR responded by telling me my attendance was a concern. I emailed their boss's boss, the HR director, and asked for clarification. He said I hadn't come into the office, so of course my attendance was a problem. I reiterated I had medical documentation stating that if WFH wasn't available then they could refer to the FMLA documentation my medical team also sent. He replied that medical documentation, including both FMLA and ADA reasonable accommodations, doesn't hold much weight with the company. That's when I got a lawyer. Aubrey as a problem kind of drifted to the background when HR started their medical documentation doesn't matter campaign. On my lawyer's recommendation, I contacted the HR executive team, which is where this whole curse situation came to light, and I did check with my lawyer about emailing this update and they laughed and said I couldn't leave people hanging after all that. I called the chief HR officer, which for my company is going over like 5 people's heads, but I did it with George's and my new boss's blessings, who is the head of HR, and asked why my attendance was an issue when I had reasonable ADA documentation. She had no idea what I was talking about, so I filled her in on all of it, including the mediation meeting, and Aubrey's harassment and the HR director, her direct report, saying medical documentation didn't hold any weight with the company. She was speechless and asked to meet with me and my lawyer as soon as possible. My lawyer hardly had to do anything during the meeting because the CHRO was horrified at everything I told her. I've never actually seen steam come out of someone's ears, but if it was physically possible it would have happened here. My lawyer didn't need to say a word but just nodded and smiled when the CHRO offered an extended paid medical leave so I could handle my recovery and said Aubrey constantly sending me fitness plans would be dealt with swiftly. I didn't hear anything out of Aubrey for a long time, but I did hear through some gossip channels that the HR staff involved in the red flag meeting / threatening to write me up were let go. Aubrey wasn't fired because they believed she was misled by HR, so I understand that part even if I don't agree with it, but she was on a tight pip for a while. Then she showed up at my house. Now we moved from banana pants to full-on banana ensemble. I'm still on leave and out of the blue, Aubrey showed up at my door on a weekend with 2 other women in tow and the commenters guessed it. She's in very deep with an MLM, or maybe a cult, I can't be sure at this point. Aubrey came over to demonstrate some workout techniques and give me some diet supplement samples and discuss a career opportunity because she was worried about my physical and professional health. She didn't make it past my mother-in-law, who has been a godsend right now. My mother-in-law made it clear where Aubrey could stick her demonstration and they left in a hurry. I notified my lawyer and the CHRO, and suffice it to say, Aubrey is now a full-time wellness coach. I'm happy I went with my gut and got a lawyer because the company has changed so drastically over the last year with the toxic HR department encouraging behavior like Aubrey's and spreading false information about medical leave and time off. The company is almost unrecognizable. Also, with my boss and mentor both gone, I don't know if I'm going to go back once I'm medically cleared. The company is also undergoing a restructuring right now and my department may end up distributed between other parts of the company or even other parts of the state. I have been looking at jobs and doing some resume drafting for a full-time remote position since it feels like it might be a better fit. Update 2. I got an offer from a local company that's going fully remote with administration and management meeting up once a month. The salary was right, it's 90% remote, it's a good fit, so I'm happy with it. My role is HR adjacent as head of payroll. I report to the COO and was hired by the CEO and COO. I walk into our first admin meeting and who is sitting across from me but the HR director who told me medical documentation doesn't matter and orchestrated my red flag meeting. Let's call him Bob. Bob is the interim HR director for this company. Bob looked very uncomfortable when he saw me. We went through some employee files, including several who were on maternity leave and 2 who were injured on a job site. Bob got quieter as we began reviewing medical documentation and approving paid leave. I smiled and looked him in the eye every time I asked, "And does Jill have her medical documentation?" "Great. Medical documentation holds a lot of weight. That's important stuff to have." He looked like he wanted to melt into his seat. At one point he tried to argue against someone using their PTO to provide end-of-life care for a parent when they had ample PTO. I smiled and said, "You're right, our employee support fund should cover half this time. It's a shame for them to have to lose all their PTO when they're obviously going to need it to heal and grieve over the next few months. Why don't you get me the paperwork for the support fund this afternoon?" "That's so generous." Everyone was happy and in agreement. He looked like he swallowed a lemon but everyone was like, "OMG Bob, how thoughtful. He had to eat it so bad and got me the documentation an hour later." Bob can suck it. Bob is also only a contractor so he'll be moving on soon anyway. Medically I'm doing better, and very happy to move on from where I was. Aubrey's been full on radio silence which is perfect for me.